Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm doing a live interview with Isabel. Isabel reached out to me a little while ago and wanted to share her story. So tonight we're going to go beyond the surface. I'll be sitting down with her. She's a soul sister, a light worker, starseed, and a survivor of generational darkness to speak what's rarely spoken. For nearly 49 years, Isabel lived under the weight of an illusion, the American dream, that was actually an American nightmare. Born into a bloodline woven with deep ancestral pain, including the unthinkable truth that her father is a serial killer, Isabel's journey is one of raw survival, divine remembrance, and sacred reclamation. This isn't just her story. It's a mirror for every woman who has ever felt silenced, shattered, or spiritually starved. Join us tonight as we unravel what it means to wake up inside a lie, the cost of keeping family secrets, how light and shadows coexist in one body, the truth behind trauma, programming, and ancestral healing, and what Isabel has reclaimed about who she really is. This isn't just a conversation. It's a crack in the veil. You are invited to witness, to remember, and to awaken. So welcome, Isabel.
Hello.
Hi. So I've just gave an introduction about who you are, a little bit of what you've been through. And I wanted to first start off and start sharing and have you take the floor and say how we got to connect and why you're here.
Okay. First, I want to apologize if there's any interruption on my end of connection. Give it a second or two; it'll come right back. Just to go ahead and put that.
Okay, perfect.
Also, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I do have to put that out there right now. And I did want to share an intention of absolute humbleness. Letting go of ego is really the first step, and how I was able to go forward in the truth. And then really the way you and I met, it was like an instant circuit. As silly as it sounds, through Facebook or through the online social media, it was just like bam. And I actually, the way your personality is, as little as I knew of you, it was almost as if you just come out so fresh. So like I thought that maybe you had just recently been awakened, and then it turned out that you had been awakened years before me. So it was just an instant connection that I felt I had to reach out to you.
Right. Well, I'm so glad you did, because in the midst of us having a conversation, we felt that it's important to have the women of today speak about their experiences, because we are coming into the divine feminine, coming out of the toxic patriarchy of what's been done over centuries. And part of your experience has been because of toxic patriarchy, where it's all about the men that rule and they have an iron fist and all that kind of stuff. So I feel that it's really important for us as women to share in respects to how we've been oppressed. And for me, it was religious ideology saying that the woman shouldn't speak, she should be under a man, and that we have absolutely almost no value, even though they kind of try to slide it in there saying, of course, yeah, well, Jesus talked to the women. That's ridiculous. So anyhow, it's and that's when you had shared about wanting to create what was called the Secret Sister ShareCast, because and you can share with me if I'm off topic here, but I think the reason why you had come up with that is because a lot of women suffer in secret.
Yes, and then even amongst themselves, they know that they have to accept it. So it may be like my aunts, my cousins, anyone in the family, like immediate years apart, younger, older, whatever, grandmothers, grand aunts, all of them. That's just the way we are. We have to accept it, and they would grieve in silence. So I feel that I now, because of the betrayal recently through some of my recent female cousins, it's like I am meant to break this curse, this generational curse that we have to speak. This is not something to live with.
Exactly. And so I'm really grateful that you have decided to break your silence, reach out to me to want to have your story shared. So let's begin a little bit. So So tell me a little bit, what part of your past do you feel called to right now to share with the world? And this is open, so whatever you feel like sharing right now, feel free.
And I did. I meditated before this, of course, and I know the core reason that I have not been able to just keep quiet and say, okay, well, let me just move on with my life. Let me
Mm-hmm.
forget about, hey, I've dealt with it. I've healed. Thank goodness I didn't kill myself. I didn't, go back into relapse. Thank goodness I made it through.
Right.
But other people are at risk. There's another holiday coming. Ritual killings, sacrificial killings, whether personal or in a group mentality, they are a real thing. And so it is actually I feel like I have to speak it because I know what's happening in a racial standpoint, or just even in a, wanting to get that power. And it seems so fantasy Hollywood TV, but it's actually been so common in the
Mm-hmm.
generation of just small towns in South Carolina, small towns in Georgia, Mr. Nobody, Mrs. Nobody,
Mm-hmm.
the KKK, which I think most people know what that is. They just go under different names and they hide it. And it is a vein that goes throughout. And then they want to mask it and even have a few, black friends just to make it seem like they're not racist.
Ah.
There's a lot of traps there that you don't want to see. And somehow I was able to come out of it. It took me all these years, but it did.
Wow. Well, that you just kind of like, there's so many questions I want to ask just based on what you just shared now. So like, but was there any specific moment or something like of an experience that you've been through where it kind of just shook you up to go and you started questioning about the life that you were living in your family? Was there certain things you started to notice that maybe went, hold on a second here?
Yeah, I mean, throughout my life, always, I think a lot of people, I would hope, anyways, or think so, that can resonate with that. You always feel like something's off. You always know something's not quite right. Something just gives you that twinge. For me, it grew into bulimia, like hardcore eating disorder. And, so I did question it on and off throughout. And I even tested, I got rebellious. I went out with black guys, brought them home, not knowing what was really behind the scenes of us going to church all the time.
Mm.
That kind of thing, you test it out, whatnot. And it's like, wow, I really was gutsy, wasn't I? Not even knowing it.
Well, you were just
So.
living your life as a normal teenager, I guess, being rebellious, like living in the South. Like, because like I'm in Canada, so my reality is completely different than someone in the southern states. So I could just imagine, like, as you started doing those things and as you start to awaken to what was really going on, that you must have just went, oh my goodness. So can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So later on, I guess I would say, in the more recent years, it is heavy to get down to it. Could have been just watching that, ancient trees, we're not mesa top mountains. They're not volcanic, you know. I think it's like when you just start coming out of the programming of
Mm-hmm.
indoctrination, your science is wrong, your
Yep.
church religions are wrong. And I say wrong because, or I could say disorders in a clinical standpoint, because they cause maladaptive growth and behaviors. Like you end up having, sickness, disease.
Mm-hmm.
Disease is disease, So when everything is really wrong around you and you start realizing, oh my gosh, I even got my master's degree in this, and
Right.
teach people to get hooked on legal drugs, the legal big pharma, and even me as myself. I mean, I'm surprised that I chose with all the COVID stuff. This is really when I came out of it. Was knowing that, well, if I'm dependent on a pharmaceutical that's coming out of China, what if something really does go down and then you go through withdrawals when you're in the state of war or something? And maybe that's a woo-woo conspiracy and over the top, but at the same time, it's like, well, maybe I should try to go all natural. Maybe I shouldn't be, just on pharmaceuticals. So
Right. And that's and I can share your concern with that, because everything in this society is geared to have you believe a certain way, to behave a certain way, and to do a certain way. And there's always something within you that kind of goes, oh, like, why are we doing this? Like I remember having those when I was working. I was in banking for a few years, and I was just sitting there going, like, why is it always about debt? Why can't, and so there was just little things that kind of made me go, but I wasn't cluing in. I just was asking the questions. And by asking questions brings you on a quest, brings you on a path that when you voice out a question, you're seeking the answer and you're calling the answer in. And that's what you did as well when you started questioning certain things, like, what about this and what about that? So what I'd love to know is, so tell me a little bit about your experience growing up in the family environment that you were in.
I mean, truly, it's kind of like I want to skip forward of that because I have really let that go in a way. I would just say all American. I could just wrap it up and like, hey, whatever TV shows you watch about kids who go to private school, whatever you watch about kids, who their parents go to church and do fundraisers or upstanding citizens. I lived in a gated community.
Okay.
We weren't like super rich, but it was just, upper middle class, whatever, it wasn't anything, but I always hung out with, the ritzy Ritz where, like a lot of people will see that Wormslow picture of Savannah, Georgia. And it's all the mossy trees covering, and it's, places where, there was a lot of filming done. And, but, I knew the secret tunnels in there from just going to a high school party.
Wow.
So it's that kind of thing. Like, it was very uppity. And I didn't really, but I was sick. I was bulimic. I was alcoholic since age 15. I was numbing out. So.
And were your parents concerned? Did they know like what they did, just what happened there?
Yeah, so it's just your typical, your own restriction. We're going to read your diary. You can't do this. We're going to take away your car. I didn't have a cell phone then. That was the beauty of it. In our age, we didn't have cell phones to take away, but they sure could take away your car. They could make it sure you didn't stay out past 12, all those other things. So.
All right. So tell me when things started getting real. When did you start to realize that your family wasn't what you thought?
That would have been when my grandmother passed away. I was 36 years old. I was in absolute shock. How could Christians be so evil? Then it would be, when my mom passed away. And then it was like, wow, they could again be so evil.
What do you mean by evil? So because we need to understand, so evil for you means what particularly? What happened in that circumstance when grandma died that you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize they were this evil? What does evil mean?
When you understand or understand, when people can understand, comprehend, get on the level of knowing what it would be like to have a psychopath next to you without knowing it, and how they can manipulate to take someone out of your life and then blame you for it, scapegoat you, make you your fault you're not around your grandmother, it's your fault you're not around your mother. I was not able to go to my grandmother's funeral or my mother's funeral or say goodbye to them because they were to keep the secrets to the grave, you see.
Ooh.
And it was made out to be that, oh, well, we'll just see whatever they say about me. I'm not going to speculate what they say about me anymore. It's behind me. This is about going forward, and it really is true. Like, I have been, that's how I knew I was called, when I decided to face it and say, this is not right. I have the strength within me if I'm not going to kill myself, because the only option would be to commit suicide. When you're abused and ritualistic sexual abuse, when you were abused, and it doesn't mean that it's torturous. It can almost be like how the Oprah says, you're going to enjoy it sometimes, or whatever. But it's the mind F that it does on you. It's the mind control. It's what it does to you to be insecure and dependent. And then when you're made to be a liar at age 4, because I was like, oh, I want my daddy to go, mess with my TT. No, it's PP. And I was punished, and I'm made to be the liar. So it's things like that. When you were made to be a liar, and then it goes throughout your entire life, and you're blamed for being a drug addict. You're blamed for being bulimic. You're blamed for, being sexually promiscuous. I mean, I never had a teen pregnancy, but it's probably because I was too anorexic and too bulimic to get pregnant. Who knows? But it's that kind of thing. And I see it now as a clinical counselor with the children that I've, worked with very briefly with some teenagers. And it's just like they're manipulated and brainwashed so young to think that it's their fault, their shame. And how are they to get out of that cycle of drug addiction and, alcoholism when you just want to numb out from that? You feel like it's your fault all the time. And then so much so that suppress your memories without realizing it, because my father's an exception. Not everybody has my father, but I'm not foolish enough to think that I'm the only one who's had one like him. I know that there are plenty of military people, like I was saying, for not having psychopath controlling fathers to be as big as it is. I would if I was to go, oh, it's just me. No, that's another reason why I'm speaking, because I chose not to kill myself. I chose to stay sober. I mean, I've relapsed. I haven't been perfect. And then I chose to continue on and say, okay, I'm not ready to say screw this construct, or, screw Earth, or I'm going to meet my maker, or whatever. I said, no, if I have remembered all of this down to the details of every single year, I have to say something. I didn't live to be this old to just keep that to myself and then let my father live to be 90 or 100 and, keep saying, oh, they'll be like, oh, poor you, your daughter, she passed away.
Right.
And, excuse me? No, I don't want anyone feeling sorry for him for me passing away.
And so you're essentially gaining your voice back. You've recognized that you were lied to, you were manipulated, and you kind of went, hold on a cotton picking minute here.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
I believe that.
Literally.
Because and I can't say that I can relate to your story in a family matter, but when you come to that understanding that boom, you realize you got deceived, you realize you were lied to, you realize that you were put to shame, you realize that you were always told you're the sinner, you're the awful one, you're this and you're that I can relate to.
And that was a lot of it. I was always told I was going to hell.
Yeah.
Always. I was always told you need to get back in front of the cross, even though I saved like 5 million times. I mean, we went to church. And so I'm like, I'd always be like, what? How many times do I need to say the sinner's prayer?
Well, you're awful. The heart is deceitful above all things, Isabel. Don't you know? Right? So not only are you in an abusive house, you have a father that's in secret society, you also have Christianity on top of that has the appearance of good, but is dark. So you are having things upon things.
I mean, I got slain in the spirit before. I felt what I thought was a demon come out of me before. I mean, whether it's imaginations or just your subconscious really, presenting itself, I don't know, but it seemed like it really happened to me. I spoke in tongues, or I thought I was. I mean, so I really did it all like that, and then to come through it all and go, oh my goodness, I was afraid to pray to Jesus after realizing what my father had done and everything the church had done. I was afraid to pray to a creator. It was giving me PTSD to look at scripture. I would get upset at people for saying things that were like related to the Bible. And finally, I've gotten through that. And I hope this helps somebody, because now I'm okay with it. Now I'm like, Jesus' words are true. The publishers aren't. You know, Jesus's words were true though. And it's like, even though the letter J wasn't there, even though, you know, the Greeks and whoever got together and they killed a whole bunch of people to hide the truth and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't scare me anymore. You know, it's like the chemtrails. I used to be so mad. And I hope this helps somebody else that's really angry at the skies right now. Because I was angry at the skies for a couple of years, at least like 21, 22, 23. Recently, I got to being like, oh, it's just part of the agenda. Okay, we're gonna accept it. And my frequency, and you know, and you can get copper pipes and different things to actually help get those things to leave your property or whatever. But you know, just don't get angry at them anymore. We're not gonna be able to stop them. No matter if what's her name? Who's the politician right now? I forget her name. I want to say Mallory. She's saying that they're trying to legalize, I think, along with another DeSantis, saying they're legalizing the chemtrails now. So I'm just going to tell you, my intuition instinct says don't fall for controlled opposition. They are not going to stop those. We just can't be mad at them anymore.
There's control. It's not the psyop that gets you. It's the psyop of the psyop of the psyop. That's where the lies come into, right? So that could be another topic for another day. But you're right. And when you come into an awakening process, you for your life, understanding what you've been through, the family dynamic, the religious dynamic, and then you go, you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to voice that out and just let her rip, because there's nothing worse than suppressing emotions that are meant to bring you to freedom. You need to go through those things. And it's beautiful that everything that you've experienced, even understanding the bigger agendas, you understand, you know, the WEF, you understand Agenda 2030, you understand all those things. And we went, all of us, through a certain period of time of focusing on it, telling people about it, and just keeping our eyes focused. What are they going to do next? Without realizing that by doing that, we give it attention and energy for it to move forward.
Right.
And same thing as what you were sharing earlier, just saying, you know, like you already dealt with a couple of things in your life, and you don't necessarily want to bring that back up, to push it back to the forefront and bring that energy back. Right. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you've experienced and where you're at now, because you have healed. So now you're going to talk about what you've been through, but you're not going to stew there. You're going to go, I've overcome. This is what I'm doing now. And you're going to bring encouragement for people to come out of their mess, to come out of their misery, their deception, the lies, the anger, the bitterness, and resentment, for them to have a better life, because you are now in a better position because you've been through it. So you can have compassion.
Yeah, compassion, absolutely. And this is why I love you so much. The way you're so clear, the way you can teach it so perfectly. I mean, to me, you do. I know, like you say, it's not for everybody, you know, the unnamed flame you are. I love it. If people are interested, they can see my shorts. They're very small. And there's just a couple that say this is the cause, because when it comes to other families, you know, responsible, I mean, for like hundreds. Like, I don't mean just like killing a few people. So this is why it's important, because it's not just a few people. It's like, no, you can go to South Carolina, Georgia, missing unsolved murders, and know that I'm sure that there's a responsibility over the decades that lead up, because my father did make the statements of, you know, the ice man. Well, I'm the ice cooler man. So there are all these creepy things. I have made it through. I don't want to talk about my past anymore as much as I've just recordings, because truly it was because I fear for my life, or I used to. I don't fear for it now, but I used to fear for it. And I said, if something's going to happen to me and hit on my life, it's there. No one else is taking the blame for this. I did not kill myself. It's there. I've had homicidal threats against my life ever since I started calling my father out, going like, I want my TT. And it was like, no. Shut. I've always been a truth teller. And so, and my mom would tell me, she's like, you overshare, right? You know, you got to, you know, you don't need to tell everybody, hang out your dirty laundry, and always be like, do you see how many people there are in this world? I mean, this was just my instinct being so little. There's so many people out here in this world. Why are you ashamed? Like, people know that nobody's perfect.
Secrets.
Like,
Secrets.
everybody's a burger. I don't know.
I know. I just, okay, whatever. When you're a truth teller, you don't care about secrets. you're just open-hearted, like you're authentic, you're real. And I feel you that way, right? You're just going, well, with this, why does this have to be this specific way? So I get where you're coming from. So with all this, like, so when you were transitioning, you were going through this whole awakening process, what helped you survive emotionally and spiritually through all this? Like, what were some of the tools that you had? Like, what did you do?
Okay, so first off would be surviving the final domestic violence relationship. Gary Ramsey, he is an author. He passed away from cancer, but he did survive it, and he had some miracle surgery and lived a lot longer before he finally left to go somewhere else. He taught me an Alexander technique, which I now call brain, spine, and body, because we have a brain system, not a nervous system. And learn to expand out and incorporate that every single nerve is all connected, and we're not chopped up like we're taught in school, in our anatomy classes and science, and it's all one and connected. That was number one. Then number two was really going through that practice of getting rid of the I, and the ego, and, just saying, okay, let's humble, wow, you can really see how things can turn in an instant sometimes, and you just never know. You just never know what's going to happen, and you have to be humbled. And so, I don't know, it was also when I was able to wake up out of I call it a trance, but I was teased that I was always in a trance. My father was a hypnotist, he's a mentalist, and there were different ages of my life that I literally were just blocked out. It was all compartmentalized.
Wow.
So, but when I started all becoming together, then it's everything just started oozing out. And I would wake up in my sleep and just be like, what? And I'd pick up my recorder and I would just start recording, and I would make sure I'm doing deep breathing. I would put myself in what they call the alpha, beta, those wavelengths. Truth. And I also had a therapist I was with for about 7 years. So, she confirmed a lot for me, but she did not want to open up Pandora's box for me. And then, funny enough, there might be some archaics people out there. Absolutely. Last year, I was a big Archaics fan.
Jason,
I came out to Vegas and met him. But, his videos they kept me sane. I'm sorry for whatever's happened between him and whoever and myself, and him not running my ad, and which is why I say my father is, protected in high places, obviously, because it's everyone that's tried to help me out, something terrible has happened to them. I'm gonna put that out there. We gotta do some sage and get rid of curses if you want to help me out, because it's been rough that way. It's wow, that I didn't believe it. I really didn't believe it that my father had the connections until it was obvious. When I started dealing with law enforcement and such, I'm like, whoa, he really does have those connections. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. So you went through a few things.
There we go.
Right. So as you're transitioning and as you're learning all these things, when did you realize
it's flipping out, doesn't it?
That's okay. But we can still hear you. So it's good. So it catches up. Yeah. So it's fine. Yeah. So in some of our conversation, you did talk about how you realize that you're here for something more, that you consider yourself a light worker or starseed. Can you share with us a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yes. Okay. The light worker thing started coming to me somewhere around 2023, 4-ish. And you might, okay, I can keep talking. Yeah. But I didn't really grab it because there again, I was PTSD between the religion and the truth and what's correct. And I even thought light could be bad because, Lucifer, light, and the false.
Yeah.
And if God, G-O-D, God is really gold, oil, drugs to some people, or if God is really the God of, Yahweh or Jehovah or El Shaddai, or I mean, all these evil names that we think are good, at least growing up in the South, Georgia, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm scared to pray to a God,
Mm-hmm.
So it was really just starting to go within and saying I've got to, I started getting more into the technological stuff of like whether it's a simulation, where we go when we leave here, connect. I was having some outer body experiences. I do, want to lift up and then I find myself coming back down.
Wow.
There's just a lot. I mean, talking to spirits, seeing things, which I'm like, am I hallucinating? I've gone to the doctor, you guys, many times. I have the receipts to make sure I'm not schizo.
Right.
I am not hallucinating. I've had severe complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which can mimic a lot of different things, but that's not what it is. It's like, no, this relates to your trauma. And,
Right.
if it's my mom's spirit or if it's truly my memories of her voice coming back telling me all these things, either way, to me, if we do believe in the frequency,
Yep.
delusional, like everything really is a illusion, then it's like, either way, that's her spirit talking to me. It's like, even if it is just my memory, it's still a remembrance.
Right.
It's a time travel. So, just getting into the sciences of like, are we on a planet?
Don't talk
Are
about
we,
those kinds of things because you'll be like,
yeah, but so I started getting into more of the scientific stuff or
Mhm.
the anti-science stuff, as well as the spiritual. Just doing a lot of new search, I call it, not research. Research is
Oh,
regurgitation.
I like that because it's true, because it's new to you.
Right. So that's why, our cakes did help me. But, I got to be honest, guys. And, I don't think he'll blame me for saying it. When it came right down to it, there's just a little tweaky that's off there. And so, there
Well,
you go.
like everything in all things, right? Like we take what resonates and we leave what doesn't.
Yeah. So
Right?
that's powers in you. You can't make anyone else your source. And I
That's
went real quick, and that hurt. I just gotta say it hurt. I was like, oh, I was crumbled, just like I would be crumbled about any idol you really like. I mean, it upset me about Oprah. It did.
Yeah.
Anyone that I used to look up to, right? So, but that's, the power is in you. It is not in anyone else around us.
That's right. And the whole goal of unlearning these things, getting rid of trauma, getting rid of religious construction and all that kind of stuff is because we want to reclaim what's ours, who we are, because we've been programmed from the very beginning. And it's foolish to think, like for me at this time, like I've deconstructed from Christianity now a couple of years, and I still am learning, oh my gosh, this is still part of my life. So you have to have compassion for yourself as you keep moving through, and because your body will release and let go of certain things when you're ready, because your body is a lot smarter than what most people give it credit for, because we've been trained to try to override our body. Oh no, I'm supposed to, that's why people overeat and all that kind of stuff or whatever, but it's our body is trying to tell us certain things at specific times, and we need to, well, what I'm learning anyways is to be in tune.
Yeah, so Louise Hayes was another way too. She's a famous author. I think she's passed on as well. So right now it would be like Gary Ramsey, Louise Hayes. Louise Hayes has a whole thing on the signals that your body is giving you that's wrong, and then how to affirm and self-heal with your affirmations. And I combine those. I combine the thought pattern affirmations for each ailment, and then with the spine relaxation, expanding out and doing the meditations and the breathing. And I have healed myself. I said this in the last, our first video, I have healed from neuropathy. I mean, that's amazing. Right. I have healed from certain things. It's like, even if it is a headache or something, rather than getting your Excedrin or whatnot, but I mean, just any kind of ailment, you really can meditate on it and, self-heal. You don't need these other medicines.
No. So I guess what I'm hearing from you, as you're starting to discover more who you are, you're really reclaiming yourself, and you're starting to see who you are and why you're here.
Yes. And I'm so, there you go. You can't look at religion. You can't look at science. You know, you really do. The spirit inside of us, it really does. It's like what Mark said on your last video, if you can still hear me. Mark, It's like bringing into remembrance. So
yes.
like Mark, your video with Mark just recently, I mean, yes, brother. Yes,
He's amazing.
Brother. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does a lot of remembering. He's the one that I feel activates a lot of people to come into consciousness, to a greater awakening. There's some people that have just different giftings. And I want for people to, that's why I wanted for you to be here to share your story, because your voice is going to resonate with other people. And there's women that are going to hear your story, and possibly some men too, that they know what you've been through and reach out.
Yeah. And so, I mean, since I did say something a little negative about Mr. Archaics, I mean, I have to say the whole, we are more than we suppose ourselves to be. I mean, absolutely. We are more than we supposed ourselves to be. And then there is a lot of historical stuff. This is a generational war. That's why I'm speaking to going to show up in 18 years or not. We are still in a generational spiritual war. So, I mean, my mom's even got that on her tombstone. You know, everything is temporal here. You know, we are at war with principalities far above us, and truly, I think most of them are deep below us, deep underground.
Yeah,
you know, we're not the only species. We would be stupid. I'm sorry, I don't want to say stupid, but it really would kind of be ignorant or silly of us to think that we are at the top of the food chain at this point. I mean, I literally look around, you know, as I'm shopping, and I'm like, we are the ants. You know, we are the bugs to the higher up people. We are meant for spirit, blood, flesh, not the good kind that they try to tell you, oh, Jesus is going to come take you in the sky and he's going to harvest you. It's not in a good way, y'all. It's not in a good way. It's the blood spirit harvest, and that it's not the good kind.
Well, those are things that we've come out and we've understood how we were manipulated and how we were deceived. And what I've come to understand or understand too, right? Because I know some people know both words, is everything that's ever happened to us is because they want to hide ourselves from ourselves. They want to hide me from me, because they know how powerful I am. They know how powerful you are. And they have an agenda, and they want for their plan to come about. And they know more than we do at this current time anyways. I'll speak for myself, psychologically, how we are made. So when you shared earlier that you had an experience with Jesus and the spirit and stuff, you were going through something psychological. Like if you were in the environment, the music was going a certain way, like and people think that that's a literal experience, like with this entity or with this God. And what I'm discovering is that it has to do with the psychology of what's going on. They manipulate emotions and stuff. Anyways, like, not that I've figured that all out right now, but that's where I'm kind of going into to help people understand you are being deceived. You're being manipulated. I don't like that. I've been there. I've been under that. And my heart's desire is to bring people out of that. Whoever wants to hear me.
Yes. And I mean, as my left ear burns right now, my most recent experience was in Arizona. I decided to check it out and go to a church.
Oh.
Y'all, it grieves my heart to say that. Open to see the truth. It's like the preacher really did know what he was doing. Like it was almost like a sense about him that he knew that he was just playing this crowd of people. And it must have been like 300 people in that church.
Of course.
And I was just like, I mean, I was really beside myself, you know, and they were talking about the giant scorpion. It was all about the book of Revelation, by the way. It was what the sermon was on. But it's like, I really wasn't that curious. I thought, you know, let me see what this is about again. You know, like, I'm curious again to see what it's like to be in a church, because there I was taking a new, you know, counseling job at Mingus, you know, Mountain or whatever. And I was like, you know, let me just get into the community a little bit. y'all, I was like, I was like, oh, they're all going like, because it's like praised it. They were making Jesus the idol, and that's what it was. It stung me like the scorpion he was preaching about. Mm-hmm. Well, if you were really following the correct, Jesus said, "Don't praise me." Jesus said that he wasn't to be worshipped.
That's right.
So that's
good. Who do you call good? Only the Father is good.
Right. And then I'm like, well, and with the first commandment, you know, thou shalt have no other gods. Well, you're making him a god, and then they try to say, well, he's God, but he was a man. But then it's like, well, wait a minute, woman, man, what?
You can get me fired up about this topic for years. So that's why I share my stuff, because that's my shtick. But yeah.
I hate myself. I was bulimic. If this helps anyone out there, I was bulimic for probably like, I don't know, 16 till maybe 38 years old. So you do the math on that one. That's how long I had an eating disorder. And how long I literally was looking outside of myself.
Exactly.
To heal me.
Yes.
So, and the same with you know, alcoholism or anything like that. Anything that would be addictive. Mm-hmm. You know, it was always like you need something to replace it. Has to be something else to replace it. Well, when I stopped doing that and I started looking within myself, doing the proper things, listening to just nature music, you know, whether it's just, you know, Indian stuff or, you know, anything that's like, it doesn't even have to have words, but you just listen to beauty and get down with the nature. And then you start really like finding yourself in the sense of like, that's what's between us and wrong with us is all of this.
Yes. Yeah. Box thinking. It's always like, in this society, it's all about consumerism. The next thing to get, you know, always, like you shared, always on the outside of you. Another book to read, another video to watch, another thing to understand. And I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. What I think is wrong is if what you're consuming always makes you go on the outside of yourself. If it doesn't bring you back to yourself, to bring you to a place of peace, a place of restoration, a place of inner standing, then you're just going down some rabbit holes just all over again. And you are wasting time on them, their stuff. They want you for your attention to be on them and their agendas and their things, you know? And I shared that, I think, with I don't remember if it was Mark's video or the one before, but just sharing with people saying, stop giving them attention. What are you gaining? You're not gaining your own life. You're losing your life.
And I think it's important to say, I don't know if you froze again too. I'm so sorry. Next time I'll be somewhere by a totally good signal. I think it's really important to say that it's the sexual trauma. It is not gender specific. It doesn't matter what kind of family you have or don't have. It is so prevalent that is what causes the addictions when you become a teenager, or causes the disorders, or, you know, the OCDs, or, you know, just, well, I mean, some people, you know, cutters, you know, skin pickers. It doesn't have to be addictions. It could be anything, you know, just major depressive disorder. You know, anything that's going to cause someone, you know, to fragment. It's like, that's why it's so important for people to know, if this generation is ready to say, hell no, no more, because of the Diddy, because of the Epstein, because of the Weinstein, because of all these Steens, you know, whatever, you know, but in the religious stuff of how, you know, the justice system is still selective. They select who they're going to, you know, set free or arrest or whatever, if it's going to be selective like that. So it's like, if this generation is ready to say, we don't want to be sexually abused and we don't want to abuse our kids, well, that's why we all have to speak out. And so I want the women to come together in the sense of, like, you know, sharing the stories, just like with all these other Me Too movements or whatnot, that this generational hierarchy of these powerful men, even if it's our president, if it's not, good, sorry you got blamed, buddy, you know, but if it is our president, well, you know, even if it goes from the top to the lower, it's like somehow or another, it's got to be absolutely taboo. Like I know in Saudi Arabia or wherever, I mean, if a man gets caught doing something, I mean, they do something to him in the square right there, you know, like, I don't know. But it's like, it's just time to say, like, you're messing with people's development. I mean, here I am at 50 years old, finally learning, literally, how to have a good relationship with someone or to pick a healthy person. My whole life has been having wrong people in my life because of the root cause.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly. Well, you attract what you are. You really do. So I'm of the this is my knowing. I know this is done on purpose. They do it on purpose to create the chaos. So that infuriates me.
They get
like
off.
they love chaos, and they love to see people struggle, suicidal, depressed, all that. They love it. And what infuriates me the most is recognizing that people don't see it, or people don't see it. So they think that they're okay this way, and they defend the very system that makes them that way, right? So, and my heart's goal is to make people see, as an example, I'm not mad at Jesus. I'm mad at the structure that created, like, step out of your happy clappy Christianity here, praise the Lord, hallelujah, for 2 seconds, and take a look of the manipulation that you're going to be, that you're in. And it's the same. Well, this is my heart's goal. That's my desire, is to say, hey, bigger picture, dude. Stop looking at, like some people were saying, they can't conceive that, as an example, the earth is flat. Okay. I went from globe earth to flat earth to now understanding this is a realm far beyond either. Okay. So, and I remember when I was in that movement of understanding, people were like, well, why does it matter that there's a shape of the earth if it's flat or not? This is foundational to where you live, moron. Like, if they tell you that you live on somewhere and that's not really where you live, foundationally, everything else starts from there. So bigger picture. And some people just, and we're not for everybody. And I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's finding your center and your balance.
That's right.
It's finding the center and the balance. When you learn that a mesa top mountain is actually an ancient giant tree, then that just expands your mind so much more to going, wow, look at how they really, I went to the petrified forest, and I was the painted or whatever it is out there in Arizona, the painted something. What's it called? Anyway, I was like, yeah, it is painted. Like, magazine to fool everybody. It's like, like, what? I don't know, to go and see things and really realize how and they make you give donations. Even if you go shopping and they're like, oh, save the children, you're going to donate to literacy or save the children. And it's like, are you kidding me? These are such scams. Like, they want you to under the guise of that they're really doing some good. It's
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it makes somebody feel good because they gave money to other people for them to do it. For them, because it's not me. I'm not going to do anything because I'm busy. I have my life and I have my soccer and my kids.
My father worked for, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. He worked at an abortion or anti-abortion place. It was a place across from the abortion clinic. It was Savannah Care, to help save babies, to say, hey, you don't need to get an abortion. But he was a Marine and Vietnam.
You cut out there. You'll have to start over.
Right there. It's like, I'm going to do the opposite of what I'm really about.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So he's like, save the children, but then at night he's doing the opposite. Ugh. Yeah.
There we go.
Well,
it's that kind of, they just put on the veil, put on the mask.
And I think that, like, I listened to your story and I'm just blown away, because that's not anything that I've ever had experience with. But like you shared, there are tons of
This
people
one
out
day,
there.
I felt like I was going to throw up all day from the memories I had. It made me so nauseous and queasy. I used to faint at the sight of blood all the time. Now I'm okay with it because I've toughened myself up. No one else, not the church, not anyone. I had to toughen myself
I
up.
did it, right?
But I literally I stepped on some glass the other day, and I pulled a shard of glass out of my foot. And normally I would just faint. There's no way I'd be able to handle that. But this time I was like, I can do it.
Yes.
I can do it. Yes, I don't
growth.
And I don't have to lay down like, oh, pour me, bring me some water and a fan.
Right. Well, that's growth, right? So, Isabel, what would you share with people that are coming out of those same scenarios that you did and are struggling? What would you share with them?
I want to share with you that I have wanted to die many times going through this process. I did not think that it would take 2, 3, going on 4 years of it to really heal and get through it, but it has taken me that long. I've heard that it takes some people longer, but I've heard that, some people just get right on board and they're okay, and life is even better than before. Who knows? Each journey is different. Don't give up. You are never alone. Even if it is spirit that you're connected to, and even if that spirit is just you and your higher or more deeper self, either way, you do not have to give up. I am wanting to work with crisis counseling again and help with that, when people are ready to end it. And it's not all about you, but yet it is all about you, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't have to be all about you in a selfish way, but take care of you to know that you're worthy enough. And those signs will come. You just got to say no to all the evil that's trying to come against you in the mind. It does. People say, "Oh, it starts in the mind," and that's what they taught me in grad school. Oh, it starts in the mind and your thoughts. No, it starts in your heart.
That's right.
Starts in your spirit.
That's right.
Spirit feeds the mind, and the spirit can say no to other things that want to feed the mind. So start in your spirit, feed your mind, or starve your mind, whatever you need to do, and then your body moves with that. My kids, at the last counseling job I had, I swore, I was like, I'm not going to find a reason to leave this one. I'm not going to do it. But it happens. And those kids, they got it. The ones that I thought were going to be like, ooh, we can't stand the white lady, whatever, like they were teenagers. And, they were like, oh, Miss Liz, spirit to the mind, to the body. Can we go hug a tree?
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, it is. It's the spirit to the mind, to the body, and don't give up. And I'm sorry I took so long saying that, but I feel like someone needs to hear that.
No, absolutely. I think it's important to share. Now, if anybody wants to reach out to you,
I think we ended up 8:07. Yeah, we probably are out of time, aren't we?
No, well, what I was going to suggest is if there are people that want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch? Through your YouTube channel? Where would you say if somebody wanted to say, hey?
Down my traveling teletherapist at Yahoo. It's just traveling teletherapist at Yahoo.
We'll put that in the description below so that people can know. We'll put that information down.
And then and then I have my Isabel Wellwright YouTube, which is if you're curious about why or how it came about. And I don't do money donations, nothing like that. Mind and body therapies later. But right now, it's just like, no, I don't want anyone trying to say, oh, she's trying to get money for this, that. No. I want a word out. Speak. Safe passage exposing a killer. And somehow or another, it happens to be my relative, my birth relative, right?
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I just want to thank you for today, for you sharing your story, to come out and use your voice, not to go back to the past, but to say, hey, I've overcome and this is where I'm going, so that you could bring hope and restoration to other people who have also suffered under the hands of family members and whatever other situation, religion or things of that nature, and you come out with your story and say, there is hope, you can overcome, and you can have a great life. So I would love to thank you for today, Isabel. And we'll share the description in the box, so how to get in touch with you, other recommendation that Isabel has shared with all of us today for points of healing and restoration. And I'm looking forward to our next time for us to chat. We have a lot of topics to talk about, and I'd like to thank you so much. Is there anything in closing you'd like to say?
I forgot what it was. So, I'm sure it's just, have a good evening. Don't look outside you, look within.
That's right.
And
Well,
thank you for caring. Just get the word out and trust yourself.
Absolutely. So let's see how far this is going to go for you. And for everyone that took the time to watch, we really appreciate the energy. And if ever you have any comments or anything you'd like to tell us, please leave it in the comments section. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.